Hello and welcome. Have you ever found yourself trapped in a cycle of overthinking, unable to escape the constant flow of thoughts? It's a feeling we all know too well, but what if you could break free from that cycle? In today's video, The Power of Detachment, 7 Stoic Lessons to Stop Overthinking, we're going to explore 7 powerful Stoic lessons that can help you stop overthinking and find mental clarity through the art of detachment. By the end of this video, you'll have practical tools to free yourself from the constant noise in your mind and regain control of your thoughts. Stick with us until the end because the last lesson is the most impactful of them all. Lesson 1. Concentrate on what is within your control. In ancient Greece, Epictetus, a Stoic philosopher, once said, "We cannot choose our external circumstances, but we can always choose how we respond to them." This insight is as relevant today as it was thousands of years ago. Imagine a ship battling fierce waves in a violent storm. The ship cannot control the storm, the winds and the waves, but the captain, with skill and clarity, can steer the vessel in a direction that keeps it afloat. In much the same way, we cannot control the uncontrollable forces around us, but we do have the power to choose how we respond to them. Consider the example of Xenophon, a Stoic general from ancient Greece. During his campaign, Xenophon and his army found themselves in hostile territory, faced with overwhelming odds. The enemy was unpredictable, the terrain was treacherous, and they were often in dire situations. Yet, Xenophon focused on what he could control: his own actions, the morale of his soldiers, and their immediate needs. He didn't waste his energy on worrying about things outside his control, such as the weather or the movements of his enemies. Instead, he made decisions that were within his reach, knowing that these decisions would determine the course of their journey. Similarly, in our own lives, when we allow ourselves to be consumed by worries over things beyond our control, we lose precious mental clarity and energy. We can't control the actions of others, the state of the economy, or natural disasters, but we can control how we respond to these situations. When we focus on what we can manage, our thoughts, our reactions, and our personal actions, we regain a sense of power and direction. To redirect your energy in a productive way, start by identifying what is within your control. If you find yourself stressed about an uncontrollable situation, pause and ask yourself, what can I control in this moment? It could be as simple as taking a few deep breaths, deciding to focus on a task at hand, or adjusting your perspective. Small actions like these help regain control and lead to greater clarity and peace of mind. Just like the ship's captain, you may not control the storm, but you can guide your vessel toward calmer waters. Lesson 2. Practice negative visualization. Negative visualization is a powerful Stoic technique where one consciously imagines the worst-case scenario in order to mentally prepare for life's challenges. By contemplating the most negative outcomes, you begin to realize that even in the worst circumstances, you can endure. This practice reduces anxiety by helping you accept the possibility of hardship, which paradoxically makes it less intimidating. In ancient Roman times, the philosopher Seneca often used negative visualization to teach the importance of preparing for adversity. He would recommend that, before experiencing any misfortune, people mentally rehearse the loss of wealth, family, or health. This wasn't a call for pessimism, but rather a tool to build resilience. Seneca wrote, "We suffer more often in imagination than in reality," suggesting that our fear of what could happen often weighs more heavily on us than the event itself. An ancient story from Greece reflects this approach perfectly. The philosopher Diogenes, known for his unconventional ways, was once asked by a follower how he could live a peaceful life with so little. Diogenes replied by showing him his simple lifestyle. "I am rich," he said, "because I already imagine the worst. I have no fear of losing anything, because I've already mentally let go of what I could lose." Diogenes was not indifferent to hardship, but by practicing negative visualization, he freed himself from unnecessary suffering. He had mentally prepared himself for every potential loss, making real hardship easier to endure. This Stoic practice isn't about being overly negative or expecting the worst, but rather about acknowledging and mentally preparing for what could go wrong. It brings a sense of peace, because you realize that even if things don't go as planned, you have the strength to handle them. By focusing on what might happen, you build resilience and diminish the power that fear holds over your mind. Lesson 3. View setbacks as lessons, not failures. Life often presents us with challenges that seem insurmountable, but as Stoics, we are taught to see them as opportunities for growth rather than failures. Imagine you are a blacksmith shaping metal. Each strike of the hammer, though it may feel harsh, is necessary to forge something stronger and more refined. This metaphor illustrates how setbacks, while painful, help us become more resilient and wise. The Stoic philosopher Epictetus said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." When faced with difficulty, we have the choice to either see it as a defeat or an opportunity to improve. Instead of succumbing to frustration or self-pity, we can reframe the situation and ask, "What can I learn from this?" In ancient cultures, such as the Spartans, adversity was not seen as something to avoid, but as a path to greater strength. Spartan warriors were trained to embrace discomfort, knowing that it would prepare them for even greater challenges. Their motto was "Molon Lob," meaning "come and take them," a phrase that encapsulated their refusal to back down in the face of hardship. Similarly, the Stoics viewed challenges as vital to their development. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." This quote underscores the Stoic belief that obstacles are not just interruptions to our plans, but the very things that propel us forward on our path to growth. When we encounter setbacks, we can take a moment to pause, reframe, and ask ourselves, how can this experience shape me into a better version of myself? Embrace challenges as lessons, and you'll find that each obstacle becomes a step toward greater clarity and purpose. Lesson 4. Limit the influence of others' opinions. Seeking validation from others can easily lead to a cycle of overthinking, where our worth becomes dependent on the judgments and approval of those around us. The more we seek others' opinions, the more we surrender control over our own peace of mind. As the Stoics taught, it is not the opinions of others that shape us, but our own internal principles. Consider the story of the Greek philosopher Diogenes, often known as the Cynic. Diogenes famously lived in a barrel and rejected societal norms, refusing to be swayed by others' opinions. One day he was invited to a lavish banquet, but he turned it down and simply sat outside eating figs, saying, "I am the master of my life, not those who seek to control my desires." Diogenes' actions serve as a powerful reminder that our value is not determined by the approval of others, but by how true we are to ourselves. The Stoic philosopher Epictetus echoed this sentiment, stating, "It is not the things themselves that disturb us, but our opinions about them." Our attachment to external validation only disturbs our peace of mind. By detaching from others' judgments, we reclaim our inner clarity. Instead of worrying about what others think of us, we can focus on living according to our own values. Marcus Aurelius, in his Meditations, wrote, "Take not what is said by the majority for the truth lies within, and it is only through self-examination that we can uncover it." By embracing Stoic detachment, we free ourselves from the constant need for external validation. Instead of living for others, we live for ourselves and cultivate peace from within. To limit the influence of others' opinions, we must practice focusing on what truly matters, our own values and growth. In doing so, we become less affected by external judgment and more attuned to our own sense of purpose and clarity. Lesson 5. Engage in mindfulness and meditation. Mindfulness and meditation are powerful tools that help quiet the noise of constant thoughts and center the mind. These practices allow us to cultivate awareness of the present moment, creating a mental space where we can detach from distractions and overthinking. The Stoics believed in focusing on the present, rather than being overwhelmed by past regrets or future worries. Marcus Aurelius, in his Meditations, reminds us, waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be. Be one. This is a call to focus on our actions in the here and now, rather than getting lost in mental chaos. Mindfulness, in this sense, becomes a way of practicing presence and embodying wisdom. In ancient Buddhist traditions, mindfulness is the core of meditation, encouraging individuals to become deeply aware of their thoughts, sensations, and emotions without judgment. This practice is not about suppressing thoughts, but rather observing them with detachment. It's akin to watching clouds drift by in the sky, allowing them to pass without clinging to them. Similarly, the Stoics also practiced meditation, but with a focus on self-examination. Epictetus suggested, "We cannot choose our external circumstances, but we can always choose how we respond to them." This concept is key to mindfulness, acknowledging that while we cannot control every thought or feeling, we can choose how to engage with them. An example from ancient Greece illustrates this point. The philosopher Socrates was known to engage in daily self-reflection. Before embarking on any task or conversation, he would take time to clear his mind, reflecting on his intentions and actions. This practice of self-awareness, much like modern mindfulness, helped him respond thoughtfully rather than react impulsively. By engaging in mindfulness and meditation, we begin to break the cycle of overthinking, cultivating the mental clarity and detachment necessary to live with intention and composure. In the quiet of the present moment, we find freedom from the noise of our minds and the space to choose our responses wisely. Lesson 6. Accept the impermanence of life. One of the core principles of Stoicism is recognizing the impermanence of life. Everything we experience, from challenges to successes, is transient. Embracing this impermanence allows us to detach from the fear of loss and the anxiety of the unknown, helping us live with greater peace. The Stoics understood that nothing in life lasts forever. Marcus Aurelius wrote in his Meditations, "You are a little soul carrying around a corpse." This powerful metaphor reminds us that our physical existence is temporary, and our thoughts and attachments to material things are fleeting. The moment we accept this, we free ourselves from the burden of holding on too tightly to anything in life, be it people, possessions, or even our own achievements. In ancient Japan, the concept of impermanence is beautifully captured in the art of wabi-sabi. This philosophy celebrates the beauty of things that are imperfect, transient, and incomplete. A famous example is the Japanese tea bowl, often cracked or chipped, symbolizing the passage of time and the acceptance of life's fleeting nature. Just as the tea bowl's imperfections enhance its beauty, so too can our experiences, though imperfect, shape our personal growth. This lesson is also evident in the story of the ancient Greek philosopher Heraclitus, who famously said, "You cannot step into the same river twice." The river, like life, is always flowing and changing. Each moment is unique, and the conditions of our lives are in constant flux. By accepting this, we can learn to flow with life's changes rather than resist them. In the modern world, we can see the value of accepting impermanence when we face difficulties. For example, when a job or relationship ends, it can feel like the end of the world. But as we embrace the reality that nothing lasts forever, we understand that we have the power to adapt and move forward. The fear of loss diminishes when we accept that every ending is simply the beginning of something new. When we let go of our attachment to permanence, we free ourselves from fear and regret. Instead of worrying about what we might lose, we become more focused on making the most of the present moment and the opportunities it offers. The Stoics understood this well, teaching that in letting go, we truly live. Lesson 7. Create a morning and evening routine for reflection. A consistent routine can be a powerful tool for mental clarity and emotional balance. The Stoics knew the importance of starting and ending each day with purpose and reflection. By taking time in the morning and evening to check in with ourselves, we can reduce the noise of overthinking and focus on what truly matters. The philosopher Seneca recommended setting aside time each day for self-reflection. In his letters he writes, "Life is long if you know how to use it." This idea of using time wisely can be applied through a structured routine. In the morning, we can take a few moments to align ourselves with our goals for the day, prioritize our tasks, and mentally prepare for potential challenges. By doing this, we ensure we are focused on what is important, rather than becoming overwhelmed by distractions. In the evening, the Stoics practiced a ritual of reflection to evaluate how they spent their time. Marcus Aurelius, in Meditations, often reflected on his actions at the end of the day, considering what he had done well and what he could improve. This practice of self-assessment is not about self-criticism, but rather about learning and growth. By acknowledging our mistakes and successes, we gain insight into how to approach the next day with greater wisdom. An ancient example of a reflective practice comes from the tradition of the evening review in ancient Egypt. The pharaoh would spend time each evening reflecting on the day's events, considering how their actions aligned with their values. This period of reflection allowed them to make adjustments and ensure that the next day was more aligned with their purpose. Today, we can adapt this practice by keeping a journal or simply taking 5 minutes at the start and end of each day. In the morning, focus on gratitude, goals, and intention. In the evening, reflect on your actions, what you learned, and how you can improve. This routine will help clear the clutter in your mind, creating space for clarity and reducing the tendency to overthink. By making it a habit, we can cultivate a focused and balanced mind, much like the Stoics did centuries ago. In conclusion, the 7 Stoic lessons we've explored provide powerful tools to help manage overthinking and cultivate a calmer, more focused mind. By focusing on what we can control, we reduce the power of external circumstances over our thoughts. Practicing negative visualization helps us detach from fear by accepting the worst-case scenario. Viewing setbacks as opportunities rather than failures encourages growth and resilience. Limiting the influence of others' opinions allows us to find clarity within, rather than being swayed by external validation. Engaging in mindfulness and meditation centers our thoughts, bringing us back to the present moment. Accepting the impermanence of life frees us from the constant anxiety of what might happen and helps us embrace the flow of life as it is. Finally, creating a morning and evening routine for reflection helps us stay aligned with our values and goals, fostering clarity and reducing unnecessary thoughts. By integrating these Stoic practices into our daily lives, we can learn to detach from the noise of overthinking, gaining mental clarity and peace of mind. The timeless wisdom of Stoicism offers us not only a way to understand our thoughts, but also a way to take control of them. Regular practice of these techniques will help us live with purpose, reducing mental clutter and allowing us to focus on what truly matters. So, make these lessons part of your routine and experience the transformative power of Stoic detachment for a calmer, clearer mind.